For this show, you know we need to estimate and calculate. So 3/5 times 2/9. I'm going to estimate first. 3/5, well, half of 5 is 2.5. 2.5 is very close to 3. 3 is closer to 2.5 than it is to 0, and it's closer to 2.5 than it is to 5. So I'm going to estimate that 3/5 is close to 1/2. 2/9, half of 9 is 4.5. Well, 2 is closer to 0 than it is to 4.5, and it's certainly closer to 0 than it is to 9 out of 9. So I'm going to estimate that that is close to 0. Well, if that's the case, then 1/2 times 0 is 0. So my estimate is that this number is a very small number, close to 0. To do the calculation, I rewrite it with my numerators multiplying each other and my denominators multiplying each other, like this. Then that becomes 6 over 45. And then I always want to work in lowest terms. And in this case, the number 6, did I do something wrong here? No. So I can divide top and bottom by 3. Divide that by 3. Divide that by 3. And then in that case, 6 divided by 3 is 2. 45 divided by 3 is 15. So, 2/15. Well, 2 is much closer to 0 than it is to 15. And half of 15 is 7.5. So 2 is actually closer to 0 than it is to 7.5 as well. So, that is approximately 0. So I know that my estimate was good. So that's the first one. The next one, 5/6 times 4/5. Well, let's think half of 6 is 3. Is 5 closer to 0, 3, or 6? I'm going to say it's closer to 6. So 6 out of 6 would be estimating that that is close to the number 1. 4/5, half of 5 is 2.5. So is 4 closer to 0, 2.5, or 5? I would say it's closest to 5. So again, 5 out of 5, that's close to 1. 1 times 1 is 1, so my estimate is that the answer is fairly close to the number 1. So let's do the actual calculations. And to do that, we rewrite it as 5 times 4 over top of 6 times 5. And in this case, 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times 5 is 30. So that's not lowest terms, because once again I can recognize that I can divide by 10 on top, divide by 10 on the bottom. 20 divided by 10 is 2. 3 divided by 10 is, or 30 divided by 10 is 3. So my final answer is 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3, well, it's fairly close to 1, because you only have to increase this number 2 by 1 to get there. So I would say that those are reasonably close. So my estimate was a reasonable estimate. And that is the end of 6.3.